Hello, and welcome back for the second episode of Direct Response Design Podcast. This is Davide, as always, and today I want to tell you how I managed to increase the sales of the same piece of copy of 300% more without changing a single line of the copywriting or changing the offer. I just worked on the design. I did this for a company which is still making a software, something like a CRM, but focused for jewelries. Okay, so they used to send to these new leads a big box with a book inside, some gadgets, some other marketing stuff, but most important, there was a kind of long sales letter, a 16 pages sales letter that was performing kind of well already. And even if it was just edited and designed with Word, so there was a simple font, huge spaces between the paragraphs, most probably the font was Times New Roman, something really basic. And it just looked like they printed out their Word sheets, and that's it. There was a bit of cosmetics here and there. There were headlines, sub-headlines for sure. So it was not completely a tragedy, but still there was a lot of room for improvement, and that's what I did. I didn't change a single line of copywriting. I just designed it. And as it was a fake magazine, so basically a magalog. So instead of one column, there were two. There was, I designed a proper cover to look like a magazine. I added some pictures, images here and there. I changed the font. I changed the margin distance. I changed the paragraph distance to the point that it was so easy to read, so automatic to read, that this increased the sales about 300% more. One of my best case studies, and something that started my career as a direct response designer in Italy, that led me to become the chief design officer of the biggest direct marketing company around here. Okay, but how did I do that? And how is it possible that just changing the design could bring this huge result? Okay, the answer actually is not that magic, is nothing special. I just follow it, how the human brain works when it comes to legibility and readability, because it's something natural, it's something that has rules. But most often, when it comes to design, to graphic design, people is kinda more concerned about how it looks than how it will be used. And when it comes to long copywriting and direct marketing, how it will become read. Okay? So, switching my focus from how it looks, how beautiful it looks, to how easy it is to read, I managed to bring this result. That easy. And I didn't do that just asking myself if it was more readable for me or not, but I used the book I'm holding in my hands now, Type and Layout, it's called, Are You Communicating or Just Making Pretty Shapes, by Colin Wheldon, which basically is a huge research work. Huge, because it lasted like 10 years or 12 years, I don't remember, where this guy, Colin Wheldon, used to measure the comprehension level of texts that were edited and designed in different styles, keeping A/B testing different design tricks to see which were the most effective and which led to a better comprehension level. And for example, I'm opening it right now in front of me and I'm reading some of the results for you. When it comes to reading gravity, so this natural movement that our eyes do when we approach something to read, and since we are Western people, we used to start on the top left corner and scanning the page from left to right as we read, and we end in the bottom right corner. So when a text has this applied, okay, this design trick is applied, we have a 67% of good comprehension level. Okay, 67%. So how does this number change where we disregard reading gravity and we just, for example, put the headline at the bottom of the page? It happens that the comprehension level drops at 32%. So more than a half of when there's the reading gravity applied. You see, it's a lot. It doesn't seem so. You could think that just changing the position of the headline on a piece of copy will not affect the results so much. Instead, we have a double more comprehension level. We have a doubling of the comprehension level when we respect the reading gravity, for example. When it comes to font, what does it happen? We know that on paper at least it's much easier to read serif body type than sans serif body type. Just to make sure that you know what I'm talking about, serif body type, it's like Times New Roman. Okay, so there are those small lines, small pieces at the end of the letters, and it makes them look kind of traditional and old. Okay, it's just to understand the difference. Sans serif body type, it's something like Helvetica, so straight, modern lines without any of those pieces, any of those serifs. Okay, so when we use serif body type for body copy, not for headlines and subheadlines, we have a 67% good comprehension level. When we change just the font, we do not change a single line of copy, we have a 12% of good comprehension level. You understand the how meaningful it is to use the right body type in your direct marketing pieces, in your sales letters, especially when it comes to paper. Okay, and there is much more here: bold, italic, underlining, or also how you position the text, if it is fully justified, if it is ragged right, ragged left. Everything, all these small pieces, all these small decisions when it comes to design can enhance or kill the readability of your copy. Okay, and this research by Colin Wheldon was just made on magazines mostly. If you check the examples there were mostly magazines, but when it comes to sales letters, when it comes to books, bookalogs, when it comes to websites, okay, the rules are kind of the same, but of course you have to adapt them to the media. For example, we know nowadays that there's not a huge change in legibility of a sans serif body type on web because we got used to it. Because at the time where the pixels were not so many on the screens, we needed to use sans serif body type to make texts readable and legible on the screen. Nowadays, we have usually the screens have so many more pixels that there's no more difference. But even if for many years we got used to read books and magazines in serif body type, we managed to learn to read on screens with sans serif body type, and still nowadays it's kind of the norm. We are still used to it. There's not a real problem. Why? Because we got used to this. And this is so important to understand that design choices are also a matter of the use that we are doing of that specific design trick. It's something that keeps changing, okay? And people get used to new things in a long amount of time, which means that we don't have to break the rules every time. But of course, we have to keep studying how people approaches different medias. In my case, I'm much more focused on paper. I love designing books. I love designing sales letters. I love designing postcards and magalogs. And those rules are still there and they still work as they worked 20, 40 years ago. There's no problem. But if there's a direct response designer out there which is focusing more on, I don't know, TikTok, Instagram, or something else, they cannot use the same rules I am applying on the paper. Of course, there will be some readability and legibility rules that are not changing between medias. For example, as Western readers, we always will start reading the text from left and keep going to the right, okay? But when it comes to choosing the font, when it comes to choosing the colors, when it comes to choosing the placement of some elements, of course, we have to adapt and change. But basically, our way to read as humans, it's kind of the same. It's always the same. How we read a text doesn't change. So, of course, we have to adapt a bit to the media, but direct response design is always there to help us to understand how to make a piece of copy readable. Okay, and these rules are the ones that may help you to bring your conversion rate to the next level, just because you made it readable as possible, without being tempted by the idea of making it beautiful at all costs. Because sometimes, and it's something that I saw happening again and again and again, you show your marketing piece to your partner, to your friends, to your colleagues, but they are not your client, they are not your target, and they will say, you could make it more beautiful. But not always, it's not always a good idea to follow the advices of other marketers or your friends or partner, because they are biased. The only real way to check if you did a proper work with your design for direct marketing is to test. Okay? So, remember this, and remember that with just a few direct response design rules applied correctly, you can get a lot more readers, which means also a lot more sales. I think I'm done for today. In the next episode, we will go a bit deeper about fonts. It's really important and it's really fun to start understanding how to use them properly and how to choose them properly. You can find me, as always, at filippinistudio.com, Filippini with 2 P's. And if you need a graphic checkup, if you need help with your sales letter, if you need someone trustable with experience to design your sales letter, your magalog, your bookalog, I'm here for you. Feel free to contact me, or feel free to contact me also to give me a feedback about this podcast, or to tell me what you want me to talk about in the next episodes. Okay? Bye. Thank you for being here.